What's going on, everyone? I'm AB Sports. The NFL regular season isn't quite done yet, but the fantasy football season has come to a close. I hope everyone watching was able to win their championships this year, and if you were, there's a good chance you had one of the guys on this list. Today, I'm going to be breaking down the 10 highest scoring individual games in point per reception, or PPR scoring. I'm sure I'll bring out some happy or sad memories for those of you who either had or played against these players in the weeks they exploded in fantasy football. Before I start, I would like to thank Fantasy Pros for all this amazing data. Starting off at number 10 is Steelers rookie wide receiver Chase Claypool. Claypool torched the Eagles for 4 touchdowns, including the game winner. Before this game, he was on the waiver wire in most leagues. Afterwards, he was on very few waiver wires. At number 9 is the championship performance of Davante Adams. Week 16 in snowy Lambeau, Adams demolished the Titans with over 140 yards and 3 touchdowns as Green Bay won big. I was in 4 fantasy leagues this season, and the team that had Davante Adams won all 4 of those leagues, and this performance was a big reason why. Next at number 8 is a familiar face, Davante Adams. He torched the Titans' AFC South foe, the Texans, as well in 2020. 13 receptions for 196 yards and 2 touchdowns is an absurd stat line. Adams missed 2.5 games and still finished as the wide receiver 1 on the season. That is because of performances like these 240 burgers. And crazy as it is, these weren't even Adams' only games this season over 40. He was 12th on the list also, with 41 points in week 1. Meaning 3 of the 18 40-point performances in 2020 came from the Packers' top pass catcher. At just 0.1 points above Adams was Alvin Kamara, who put up one of his monster games against the Davante Adams-less Packers in Week 3. Kamara, a running back, scored 44.7 fantasy points with only 6 carries. That shouldn't be possible. Running backs are not supposed to catch 13 passes like Kamara did in this game. And when they do, it's usually a J.D. McKissic scenario where they get 13 receptions for 71 yards. Kamara put up 139 yards and 2 touchdowns on his 13 catches and had an electric sideline touchdown to keep the Saints in the game. Tight ends weren't left off of the top 10 thanks to Darren Waller. The Raiders' top pass catcher finished off the best 3-game stretch by a tight end in NFL history with his 45-point performance in Week 13. The 0-11 Jets were in a back-and-forth game with the playoff hopeful Raiders, and Derek Carr did not want to lose that game, so he funneled it to the big man. That led to 13 receptions, which is becoming a trend, for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Bringing us into the top 5 is Aaron Jones, the 3rd time a Packer has been on this list. Adams left this game in the first quarter with an injury, and Green Bay got a lead on the lowly Lions, leading to Jones carrying the load. He looked ridiculously explosive, with 236 yards on almost 11 yards per touch and 3 total touchdowns. The first 6 players on this list were all within 3 points of each other, spanning from 42.6 to 45.6. And number 4 is where the separation begins. Dalvin Cook put up 48.6 points Week 8 against Green Bay in a game no one thought the Vikings would win. But thanks to Cook, they did. Cook absolutely ran over the Packers' defense. He had 226 total yards and 4 total touchdowns. This was Cook's best game, but he was incredible all season, finishing as the RB2 in year-long scoring behind only Alvin Kamara, and he missed a couple games. Interestingly enough, this marks the 5th time in the top 10 that the fantasy performance came either by a Packers player or against the Packers. And now another big leap, from 48.6 all the way up to 53. Tyler Lockett exploded against the Cardinals. This Week 7 Sunday Night Football NFC West clash was one of the best games of the season, ending as a 37-34 overtime thriller. The Seahawks came up short, but that was no fault of Lockett's. He turned 20 targets into 15 receptions for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, and each catch seemed more miraculous than the next. If the Davante Adams snow game somehow didn't win you your championship, then you must have played against Alvin Kamara, who put up a truly historic performance on Christmas Day. Kamara tied the oldest NFL record, set in 1929, of 6 rushing touchdowns in a single game. That's the same amount as Kamara had last season. We saw a Kamara game earlier on this list where he scored 44 points with only 5 points coming from running the ball. In week 16, he scored 56 points, with only 4 coming from catching the ball. Unbelievable dual threat player who also looked really cool in those Christmas cleats. But even 6 rushing touchdowns couldn't be the top performance of the season. That honor belongs to Tyreek Hill for his 57.9 fantasy points against the Bucks. Hill had 203 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. And knowing that, his final stat line of 269 yards is a little disappointing. But still, 200 yards in the first quarter. The Chiefs got up so big that they kind of took their foot off the pedal, but Mahomes got the Cheetah a second half touchdown to bring his total to 3 on the day and surpass Alvin Kamara for the best single game fantasy performance of the 2020 NFL season. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave in the comment section if you had these players or were playing against them in their explosion weeks, and thanks for watching.